The biological sex of a baby is determined at the very moment a sperm fertilizes an egg. Inside the human body, this decision happens on a microscopic level, long before the pregnancy is even detected. Understanding this process requires looking closely at chromosomes, the tiny structures inside our cells that carry genetic information. Every human cell normally contains 23 pairs of chromosomes. Among these chromosomes is a pair known as the sex chromosomes. In females, this pair consists of two X chromosomes, written as XX. In males, the pair consists of one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, written as XY. During reproduction, the mother's egg always carries an X chromosome. The father's sperm, however, can carry either an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. This means that the father's sperm ultimately determines the biological sex of the baby. If a sperm carrying a Y chromosome fertilizes the egg, the embryo forms an XY combination and develops as a boy. If a sperm carrying an X chromosome fertilizes the egg, the embryo forms an XX combination and develops as a girl. Scientists have observed that sperm carrying the X chromosome and sperm carrying the Y chromosome may behave slightly differently inside the female reproductive system. These differences have led to theories about how timing might influence the probability of conceiving a boy or a girl. Sperm that carry the Y chromosome are often described as slightly smaller and lighter because they contain less genetic material. Because of this, they may move faster through the reproductive tract. However, they may also be more fragile and tend to survive for a shorter time. On the other hand, sperm carrying the X chromosome are slightly larger and contain more genetic material. They may swim a bit more slowly, but they are generally believed to survive longer inside the female reproductive system. These observations led to what is commonly known as the timing theory. This theory suggests that the timing of intercourse in relation to ovulation might slightly influence whether a boy or girl is conceived. To understand this idea, it is important to understand ovulation. Ovulation is the moment when one of the ovaries releases a mature egg into the fallopian tube. This usually happens about 12 to 16 days before the next menstrual period begins. Once released, the egg remains capable of being fertilized for a relatively short time, usually about 12 to 24 hours. Sperm, however, can survive inside the female reproductive tract for up to 3 to 5 days. Because of this difference in survival time, the days leading up to ovulation are considered the fertile window, the period when pregnancy is most likely to occur. According to the timing theory, couples hoping to conceive a baby boy may try to have intercourse on the day of ovulation or very close to it. The idea is that the faster-moving Y chromosome sperm may reach the egg more quickly if the egg is already present. Since Y chromosome sperm may not survive as long, timing intercourse closer to ovulation might slightly increase the chances that these faster sperm reach the egg first. For couples hoping to conceive a baby girl, the suggested approach is slightly different. Some recommend having intercourse 2 to 3 days before ovulation and avoiding intercourse on the day ovulation occurs. The reasoning behind this suggestion is that the longer surviving X chromosome sperm may remain in the reproductive tract until ovulation happens, while the shorter-lived Y chromosome sperm may not survive long enough to fertilize the egg. To apply this timing strategy, many couples try to identify the exact timing of ovulation. Ovulation can be estimated by tracking menstrual cycles, monitoring basal body temperature, observing cervical mucus changes, or using ovulation predictor kits that detect hormone changes in urine. These tools can help identify when ovulation is approaching, allowing couples to better understand their fertile window. However, it is very important to understand that these timing strategies do not guarantee the sex of a baby. In natural conception, the probability remains very close to 50% for a boy and 50% for a girl. Millions of sperm begin the journey toward the egg, and only one ultimately succeeds. The path through the reproductive tract is complex and influenced by many biological factors that scientists still continue to study. Because of this complexity, the exact sperm that reaches the egg first cannot be fully predicted. What we do know is that the moment of fertilization marks the beginning of a remarkable process. A single fertilized cell begins dividing, growing, and forming the blueprint for an entirely new human life. Whether that new life develops as a boy or a girl depends on the tiny chromosome carried by the sperm that reaches the egg first. The science behind this process reminds us how extraordinary human reproduction truly is, and how a microscopic event can shape the beginning of every human story.